Hello gamers! Genesis Moss back again, this time with a more raw review. I'm just reviewing this off the top of my head today, but this is my first hardware review. I'm reviewing the Sony PlayStation 4. I got the system for Christmas, so let's talk about it and see if it's any good. So the first thing you guys are going to notice about my PS4 is that I got the white Destiny edition. The console itself looks fantastic. It is just beautiful. I love the way the system looks. I'm actually going to have some images floating around here somewhere that will show you guys what the system looks like. I'm just going to use some stock photos. I'm not going to get any pictures of my own because my system was hooked up behind my television and it'll be too much of a pain in the neck to break it out. But it looks great. This is one of the prettiest systems I've ever seen. The Xbox 360 was ugly. The PS3 was ugly. The PS4 is just beautiful. It's just this pretty white system, and the black system looks great too. And it's got this nice light on the front of it, and it's just like, just pretty. I think just aesthetically speaking, this is a very nice looking system. And I think it's about time we had a nice looking console because the past few generations have not been very kind to us. But looks aside, this thing is a graphical powerhouse. Keeping in mind that not a single one of these games that I own are exclusive to the PS4. Well, unless you want to count The Last of Us Remastered, but you can get regular The Last of Us on PS3. But The Last of Us Remastered, Wolfenstein, and Metal Gear Solid 5, the Ground Zeroes edition, look great. Like, these games are just beautiful. They take it such a good leap beyond what the PS3 can do. I didn't think that the games would look that much different, but they really do if you get the right games. You know, it's dependent on the game. If it's something that's just a port from the PS3 to the PS4, a lot of times you're not going to get that great graphical enhancement. But with those three titles, you got something good there. It's just very, very crisp and clear. The graphics are just so great. I love that about the system. Games like Destiny and Little Big Planet 3, though, they look just like they do on the PS3. There's pretty much no difference. I haven't noticed anything to make either of those games stand out from their PS3 counterparts. And that's kind of a bummer, but whatever, it's based off of the game, of course. Now, speaking of the games, one thing you're going to notice when you start buying games for your PS4 is that they have large installs, like 50 gigabytes. A dual layer Blu-ray can only hold 50 gigabytes. So when you're installing that much onto the system, you're installing the entire game. Now you still need the disc to play. It does like a DMCA or something like that to find out whether you actually own the game. But that's a lot of install right there. And it's great because even though it takes up a lot of hard drive space, it lowers your load times. The graphics are going to look better because you're not streaming off the disc. And I'm not against these large installs. They take no time either. Where with the PS3, you try to install 2 gigs, sometimes it'll take you an hour. You put the disc in, it immediately starts installing. You don't have to start the game to install the game. It immediately does the install. It takes 5 minutes tops, and you're playing. I love that about the PS4. The installs are so fast and so smooth. Half the time, by the time you get there to pick up your controller, the game is mostly installed. So that is a great thing with the PS4 because the installs on the PS3 were just miserable. They were bad, like really, really bad. But with the PS4, it's just such a smooth transition. I love it. Now, talking a little bit more about the PS4, let's mention the controller. The controller for the PS4 is really nice. It's got longer handles than the PS3. Feels great in your hands. And one of the first things you're going to notice about it is this big black bar here. This is a touchpad, very similar to a mouse. Now, the problem with that is that with the internet browser and stuff, you can't use this. You still have to use the sticks. I don't know why Sony hasn't made it to where we can use this when surfing the web, but that's whatever. You no longer have a start and select button. You have share and options. The share button is for recording your video. If you double tap it, it immediately records any gameplay that you're doing directly to the hard drive. If you just hit the share button just one time, it brings up a menu where you can use Twitch or Ustream or something like that to stream your games live. You have your options button, which is kind of used like a start button. Of course, you have your action buttons and your D-pad. The trigger buttons on this now have like a curve to them, and they feel great. Like the other systems were flat, this is nice and curved, and I love that. It feels great in my hands. I would love to try it with a racing game as the pedals, but using it in shooter games has been wonderful. Of course, you have the PS button and all that. You now have a speaker on the front of the controller as well. These little holes are a speaker. And that was something about the Wii that I loved, was the controller had a speaker in it. It had a greater level of immersion, which you could hear your gunshots or whatever coming out of the controller. It made you feel a little bit more like you're in the game. And that was just a great thing they added. I'm glad that it's back, or not back, but something they put in with the PS4. Now on the front of the controller here, you see this little light bar. This is pretty much useless unless you have the PlayStation camera. But the lights are constantly on the controller. The great thing is you can go through the options menu and dim the light, but you cannot turn it off entirely. And one other thing they've added to the controller now is at the bottom you have a port for a little keyboard and for your headphones. So if I'm playing a game and my wife wants to play her Wii U, but she doesn't want me to have the volume up, for instance, I can plug the headphone jack right into the controller, put them in my ear, and I can hear everything going on the screen without having to turn the volume up on the television while my wife can play her Wii U in peace. It's a wonderful thing that they've added. I'm glad they added this to the controllers. It's something that was really needed and something that I really like. So yeah, the controller is great. I didn't think I would like it, but I fell in love with it. So kudos to you, Sony. The PS4 controller is amazing. So we've talked about the gaming stuff with the system. We've talked about the good things about the system. Now it's time to talk about the bad. Yes, sadly, there is bad to this system. And it's all with the way media is played. Things like Netflix, Hulu Plus, YouTube, they work seamlessly and fine. No problems with them. But then you get things like playing DVDs, playing Blu-rays. You put your DVD or your Blu-ray in, it loads up, you see that the DVD disc or the Blu-ray disc is in, you press X to start it, screen goes black, little circle loading logo, screen goes completely black, and you're sitting there. And you're sitting there. And you're still sitting there. You know why? I've heard many different explanations. Some people say it's the crappy HDMI cable that comes with the PS4. And if that's the case, you still should not have to replace it with a $40 cable when that $40 cable should have came with your system so you could do this seamlessly. And that is, you have to actually pick up your TV remote, change the input to a different input, and then swap the input back to the PS4, and hopefully it'll be showing up on your screen. If it's not, you have to swap back a couple of times before it actually works. This should be seamless. I should be able to put a DVD or Blu-ray in my system and load up like that. No problems. I don't know why we can't do that with the PS4. We can do it with the PS3 just fine. And that's just a terrible, terrible thing about the system. I hate that. You know, I use my PS3 for everything, and I would have liked to have used my PS4 for everything instead, but now I'm going to have to keep using my PS3 for some of those things. Another thing that sucks with the PS4 is you cannot play external media of any kind on it. You can put a thumb drive in and copy video that you've recorded from the system to your thumb drive, but any video that's on the thumb drive, you cannot play it. Sony took that out. And that was something I didn't know about, but I think it's a crappy move on Sony's end that you can't do that anymore. And I think we need an update to where we can do that, Sony. I don't know why you still let the PS3 do it. I don't know why you didn't take it out with an update with the PS3. If it's such a bad thing, put it in the PS4, please. And that's my only gripes about the system, is how media is played. If you want the PS4 as just a gaming system, just to play games and have fun, and maybe run some Netflix and Hulu Plus, you're good. If you want to play Blu-rays and DVDs and play external video files, don't do it. It is not the system if you want to use this as a complete and total multimedia system on your television. And that's pretty much it for my review. Gaming, great. Media, bad. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you like the PS4? Are you an Xbox fan? Or do you say screw Microsoft and Sony and play only Nintendo systems? I want to hear about the stuff in the comments below. Let me know what you think of the systems. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.